not really independent. And they were employed to help him be victorious in his nefarious activities. So it just proves that they're not genuine Brahmins in the sense of following Vedic Dharma. How could they be? The man has kidnapped so many women, and then he kidnaps Sita Devi, and is still chanting the Vedas and glorifying him. So then Ravana proceeded towards the Ashoka forest, surveying the rows of trees. There the trees were bent down with fruits and flowers, and birds were singing sweetly over them. The bottom of the trees were covered with flowers dropped from the trees, and deer were straying amongst them. The Rakshasa king Ravana was smitten with Cupid. As the nymphs and daughters of the gods and the Gandharvas follow Indra, so a number of beauties followed Ravana's traces. Some of them held golden lamps in their hands. Some held choris, palmyra fans. Some carried pitchers filled with sweet perfumed water. Some jeweled vessels filled with wine. Some white umbrella with gold staff, and some circular gold. As lightnings followed the clouds, so a number of Ravana's queens followed him out of deep attachment and love. Their necklaces and garlands were a bit faded, and their cosmetics gone. Their hair was disheveled. Their eyes were sleepy and revolving under the influence of liquor. Beads of perspiration stood on their lotus-like faces, and their glances were quite infatuating. The passionate Ravana was slowly advancing, thinking of Janaki. Hanuman then heard the jingling sounds of the anklets and bracelets, and saw Ravana also of unthinkable prowess, standing at the gate of the Ashoka woods. A number of bright lamps fed by scented oil were before him. He was almost overwhelmed with pride, passion, and wine. His eyes were red and were looking askance. He looked like Cupid himself, though he had no bow and arrow in his hand. A milk-white scented scarf, perfumed with the fragrance of flowers, was slipping off from his shoulders from time to time down to his waist, and Ravana adjusted it to its proper place. Hanuman, then leaning against the branch of the Sisapa tree, saw Ravana slowly coming near. He became anxious to study the person. Ravana had a retinue of youthful beauties, and with them he entered the Ashoka garden, a fit place for women. There was a female warder named Sankukarna, intoxicated with liquor and adorned with ornaments. Hanuman saw Ravana, surrounded by the beauties like the moon, encircled by a galaxy of stars. So long Hanuman could not recognize him. Now he could know him to be Ravana. He is the hero, thought he, whom I saw sleeping in the beautiful hall. He climbed on the top of the tree, for he could then hardly bear the effulgence of Ravana. Hanuman remained concealed behind the leaves and branches of the Sinsapa tree. In the meantime, Ravana, desirous of seeing Sita, came near her. Thereupon Janaki, at the sight of Ravana, began to tremble with fear, like a plantain leaf shaken by the breeze. Sita sat silent, covering her belly with her thighs and her breasts with her hands. She was overwhelmed with sufferings and grief. On approaching, Ravana found her like a broken raft overwhelmed in the sea. She was seated on the ground like a branch felled down by an axe. Being stained with dust particles, she looked like a lotus stained with mud. She was wan with grief and was continually shedding tears. She only wished for Ravana's death, and her mind, in her thought, flew to Ravana as if riding on the wings of a resolution. She was devoted to Rama, and she saw no limits to her sufferings. At that time she looked like a snake writhing in the dust under the influence of a charm. She was miserable like the star Rohini oppressed by the comet. She was born of a highly respectable family, but from her dress she seemed to be low-born. Then the princess appeared like a dying flame, like slighted respect, like disappointed hope, like a disobeyed mandate, like weak intellect, like the horizon blazing up with a sudden eruption, like a worship interrupted by accidents, like a faded lotus, like an army without a leader, like the sun covered in darkness, like an altar trampled upon, and like an extinguished flame. Tremendous similes. Tremendous similes. Yeah. She was dark with sorrow and looked like the full moon under the jaws of Rahu. She was like a torn leaf and wretched like a lotus without the bees. She appeared like a stream, diverted and dried up, having met with obstruction in its course. She was in extreme distress on account of her husband's absence and looked gloomy like dark night. She was tender and graceful and was accustomed to live in jeweled rooms. She was pale like a recently plucked lotus scorched by heat. She was like a young elephant captured and tied up to a post. A long braid of hair hung on her back like the dark blue skirt of an autumnal forest. She was greatly emaciated in grief, but her beauty shone through, though thus neglected. Her heart was full of misgivings and anxieties. She was in extreme distress and was praying with folded palms for Ravana's death. Her eyes were slightly red with anger, and their ends were white. She was repeatedly looking round with tearful eyes. Chapter 15, Ravana's speech. Then Ravana began to seduce Janaki with sweet words. "Oh, my beauty, with thighs like the trunk of an elephant." Wow. Elephant's trunk pretty big. I don't know if that's the right.
It's more than quite long, so it's just getting the other very shaping words. Even Ram's hands, or Hanuman calls Ram's hands as Hastabhuja, like the trunk of the elephant. So it's just indicating it's so long and so shapely.
You have concealed your breasts and belly at my sight out of fear. O large-eyed beauty, I am yearning for your love. Please respect my love. In this Ashoka forest there is no man or Rakshasa, so remove all fear about any other male person. It is Rakshasa nature to ravish another's wife and to carry away another's wife by force. But since you are unwilling, I have not touched your person. However, much may I now be smitten by the god of love, I shall not behave otherwise. Well, he can't, because if he touches her forcefully, he'll die. There's a curse on him. Yeah. O worshipful lady, depend on me, don't be afraid. You should have regard for me, and don't be overwhelmed with grief. To wear a single braid of lock, to lie on the ground, to fast, and to put on a dirty piece of linen are not worthy of you. Enjoy yourself by showing your attachment for me. Put on beautiful garlands, excellent apparel, fine jewelry, and decorate yourself. Pass your time pleasantly in dancing, singing, and drinking. You are a gem of a woman. Don't give up all desire for decoration. Decorate yourself up to your taste and ask for my love. You must not remain unadorned in any way. The beauty of your youth is imperceptibly passing away, and once it is gone, like the onward current of a river, it will never return. He thinks she's an ordinary woman. It seems that the creator of beauty, after creating thee, has ceased from his work, so I do not find anything like your beauty on earth. You are young and beautiful. Even the mind of Brahma, the grandsire of creation, is stirred up by your beauty. To tell you the truth, I cannot draw away my eyes from whatever limbs of yours they might light upon. Shake off your perverseness. There are many beauties in my palace. Be queen over all. I confer on you all the wealth I have secured by my prowess and my vast kingdom on earth. Live as my wife, you see. There is no match for me in the three worlds. So he's a very conceited guy. Yes. It's like offering sweets to a sweet maker. At one time, all gods and asuras combined could not withstand my prowess on the field of battle. I cut down their flagstaffs repeatedly. O my beauty, be attached to me and decorate your person. Let me once see you well dressed. Just condescend out of pity towards me. To things of luxury, to food and drink, There is immense wealth and vast kingdoms under me. Please distribute them as you wish. Be attached to me without any fear, and command this impertinent self. My darling, you see that your own eyes, you see with your own eyes my riches. What will you do with poor Rama clad in rags? He has lost his beauty and is now meandering in the forest. Victory in war is out of question in his case. He sleeps on the ground and is devoted to observance of rites. I'm afraid whether he is still alive or not, even if he be living. Not to speak of union, he will not have even the opportunity of seeing you. How a crane will ever have a glimpse of the moonbeam hidden behind the clouds? Hiranyakashipu got his wife from Indra, but Rama will never get you back from my hands. O my beauty, thou hast stolen my mind. I have no more attachment for my wives. Seeing you even clad in dirty silk, devoid of ornaments and lean with fasting, be queen over the accomplished beauties that are in my palace. As the nymphs attend upon the goddess of beauty, so these world-renowned beauties will wait upon your pleasure. O my beauty, with charming brows and well-developed hips, do thou enjoy all the wealth of Kubera, the Lord of the Yakshas, and the 7 worlds along with me. O my goddess, in prowess, wealth, and fame, Rama is not equal to me. Be then merry and help yourself with food and drink. I shall confer on you the whole world. Do you gratify my wishes, and your friend will be satisfied with you. O my timid lady, adorned with golden necklace, range with me in the beautiful forest skirting the shore of the ocean. So this is very similar to Jesus being tempted in the desert by the devil. Sita's reply. Hearing these words of the haughty, meaning proud Ravana, Sita trembled in fear and began to shed incessant tears. It is extremely sinful to cause a person to be fearful. Very sinful. Rama was uppermost in her thoughts. By placing a blade of grass between her and Ravana, she piteously began, "Don't hanker after me. Be attached to your own wives. I am as inaccessible to you as salvation to a sinner. Touch of a third person is highly reprehensible for a devoted wife. I am born of a high family and have been married to a respectable man. How can I agree to this proposal?" Janki then turning her back against Ravana, resumed, "You see, I am another person's wife and am chaste. Don't take me for a common woman. Have regard for virtue and be upright, O Rakshasa. Another's wife should be protected like one's own wife. And being mindful of your life, be attached to your own wives. The man who is not content with his own wife is a slave of his senses and meets with insult from another's wife and his friends and relations to condemn his conduct." When your intelligence is so perverse, it seems there is no good man in Lanka. In other words, nobody to counsel him. When your intelligence is so perverse, it seems there is no good man in Lanka. Or if there were any, you never cared to mix with them. Or whatever good advice they might have given you, you have neglected them, thinking them to be useless for the destruction of the Rakshasa clan. So that's the main point. He has consistently refused good advice, although he got it many times. Royal splendor soon vanishes at the hands of a vicious and foolish king. For your own fault, the rich city of Lanka will soon be reduced to ruins. Even one feels glad when a wicked person meets with his end. So many will exclaim in your distress, "Happily dissolution has overtaken the wicked." Ravana as light is to the sun, so I belong to Rama. So you do not attempt to tempt me by display of pomp and riches. Having once made the arm of the Lord of men as my pillow, how can I rest my head on another's arm? Like unto that knowledge of Brahma, of a devout Brahmin, I belong to that royal saint, cognizant of the higher truths of the world. It behooves you to take me to Rama. If you are anxious for the splendor of Lanka, if you wish to live with your family and dependents, then make friends with Rama, ever kind to them who seek his protection. If you return me to him, then and then alone, it will be good for you, or great disaster is sure to follow. Thou might not be destroyed by the thunderbolt. Death might have spared you for good, but there is no escape from the hands of that prince of men. You will soon hear the deep rumbling sound of the twanging of the dreadful bow of Rama, like that of the thunderbolt. Soon Rama's arrows engraved with his name will, with great speed, fall upon Lanka. Those shafts adorned with kanka feathers will cover this place and destroy the Rakshasas. As Vamana rescued the glory of the gods from the grip of the Asuras, so Rama will soon rescue me from your hands. You see, Janasthana has been made desolate. Rakshasas have been destroyed. What you have committed is already too bad. That hero went for hunting, and with that prince of men went his brother to capture deer in the forest, and thou hast stolen me away from the empty hermitage. In other words, Ravana's act of kidnapping was cowardice. He didn't fight. He stole like a fox steals a chicken in the middle of the night.
Like a jackal who could not come in front of two lions.
Yes. You have committed a nefarious act, and like unto a dog, incapable of facing a tiger, you would have surely run away at their sight. You will share the same fate as Vitra, Asura, did, who fought with one hand against Indra with two hands and was defeated. Your wealth and resources will be of no avail when thou hast contracted enmity with Rama. As it is easy for the sun to dry up a bubble of water, so it is easy for my husband to take away your life. Whether you repair to the Kailasha or enter the nether region, there is no escape from Rama's hand, like a tree singed by the thunderbolt. Yeah, okay, thank you. Ravana's replied. How can he reply to that? I mean, she scorched him, you know. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Ravana then replied to Janki's harsh words. Janki, a man becomes dear to a woman in proportion he courts her, but you have insulted me in as much as I courted you. As a cunning driver controls the wayward horse, so amour, or love, for you has checked my wrath. In fact, love is hostile. For whatever woman it craves, it creates pity and affection for her. Oh, my beauty. In other words, he's saying, if I didn't so-called love you, I would have killed you and eaten you already, you know. Oh, my beauty, you have grown unkind to me just for nothing. You are fit to be insulted, nay, even to be punished with death. But love has dissuaded me from all that, though you deserve death sentence immediately for all the harsh words you have just now spoken. Ravana again resumed with anger. You see, I shall wait for another 2 months, according to the pledge, after which you will have to share my bed. If in the meantime you do not change your mind, my cooks will carve you into pieces for my breakfast. Now the real Rakshasa is speaking. At this, the wives of the gods and the Gandharvas were greatly sorry, and they consoled her with their silent gestures by their eyes and lips. That was, so the wives of the gods and the Gandharvas, what? Those are women that were kidnapped by Ravana? Yeah. Then Janki, collecting herself a little, began to speak, being inspired by the spirit of her devotion and by the heroism of her husband. Now see, this is what a chaste woman derives energy from, derives courage from. If she has a devoted and virtuous husband, and she's a devotee of the Lord, therefore she's not afraid to say or do the right thing. Oh, thou mean fellow, perhaps there is none in this city who wishes you good, or he would have certainly dissuaded you from such a vile deed. Like Sachi to Indra, I belong to pious Rama, and none but you in the three worlds ever ventured to indulge about me, even in thoughts. How will you be saved for the sinful words just uttered by you? Rama is like a proud tusker, meaning a proud elephant, and you are like a hare, meaning a rabbit, a scared rabbit. So you will certainly be vanquished in battle. Don't you feel ashamed to rail against Rama in his absence? You are staring at me with lustful eyes, and these fell eyes of yours will surely fall to ground. These fell eyes. But it's F-E-L-L.
Yeah, it's fell-fellness.
What?
Part of the old English, like the fell-fellness is like his bad, evil intentions.
Okay. I am Rama's wife and daughter-in-law of Dasarath. Strange that your tongue has not yet been scorched in uttering these words to me. By the fire of my chastity, I can even now reduce you into ashes. So that's the fact. When a chaste woman develops mystical powers. By the fire of my chastity, I can even now reduce you into ashes. But for ascetic observances and for Rama's permission, I have not done it yet. You will never succeed in keeping me secretly or the act of abduction secret. What thou hast done is enough for your death. Thou art Kubera's brother and a warrior. Why didn't you then first remove Rama by the magic of Maricha and then steal away his wife? In other words, Ravana did a cowardly act, tried to trick Rama and then kidnap his wife.
Actually, Ahmad is the one who's using this suggestion. He says that Rama cannot survive with Sita, so try to kidnap her. It comes in Aranya point. Accompanied the one Rakshasa who escaped from the 14,000 Rakshasas, he goes and tells Ravan. That is wonderful idea.
Well, you see, that is the way demons calculate. They can't understand the infinite power of God, so they give mundane reasons. So, in other words, he's deriving all his power because he has such a beautiful wife. If you kidnap his wife, he'll become a wimp. That's complete nonsense. There's no validity to that theory. But Ravana, because he's a demon, he also believed that. Okay. Then Ravana, rolling his cruel eyes, looked at Sita. His body was like a mass of dark clouds. His arms were mighty. High was his neck, tongue flaming, and eyes grim. His strength and courage were like that of a lion, and gait slow. He moved slowly like a lion. He was adorned with a red garland and clad in red cloth. He had gold bracelets in his arms, trembling diadem on his head, and a golden zone around his waist. With that he appeared like the Mandara hill, girded by snakes at the time of the churning of the ocean. With his jeweled earrings he looked like a flaming hill adorned with the red ashokas. He was like the kalpa tree or like the spring incarnate. He looked terrible, albeit adorned like a chaitya. A chaitya is a monument raised on the site of a funeral pyre. He looked albeit adorned like a chaitya in the cremation ground. His eyes were red with anger. He was breathing like a snake. There were angry frowns on his brow, and he said, casting his eyes on Janki, "Thou art wicked. Thou hast no sense of good or evil. I shall immediately destroy you as the sun does with the darkness." Saying this, Ravana cast his glance towards the hideous Rakshasis. There stood many of them. Ravana, addressing them, said, "O Rakshasis, just devise means, either jointly or separately, so that Janki may soon be addicted to me. Do it by good or bad conduct, by conciliation or repression, by threat or by blandishment. Ravana repeatedly gave them these directions and thundered at Janaki with anger and amur meaning love. In the meantime, a Rakshasi named Danyamalini approached Ravana and embracing him said, "Do thou sport with me. What will you do with that wretched and pale woman? You see, gods have not ordained enjoyment to her luck. This woman is foolish. I am burning with desire, seeing you courting her. Highest pleasure ensues from receiving a willing woman." Thus Danyamalini took away Ravana by the amorous force. Ravana too refrained at once with smiles, and being surrounded by women, he left the place, shaking the earth by his firm treads. So you see, demons, they are playthings in the hands of pretty women. They think they control the women, but in reality the women control them. So Ravana is addicted to sense gratification. Therefore, that is his weakness. And it's very interesting. How did they catch bin Laden? And how did they kill Awalaki? Awalaki was the Muslim imam born in San Diego, brought up in the United States, who became radicalized, and he moved to Yemen and was the leader of the Yemeni ISIS. And he was a fiery preacher on the internet, and he radicalized a lot of people in the United States and England. He spoke perfect English with an American accent, and he radicalized a lot of people, and they still watch his videos, you know. But he had a weakness. Now he had 3 or 4 wives in Yemen, but he was desiring to have a blonde, blue-eyed girlfriend. Shishirada Nila Madhava Kiche Namam Vispara Extra Stable Tuishimata Namaste Saraswati Devi. So he contacted someone in Amsterdam, Holland, to try and arrange for a blonde, blue-eyed Dutch girl to come and be, you know, his 4th or 5th wife. But the person he contacted was actually a spy for the United States. So he arranged it, and they put a little device into her body, inside her body, that emits signals. And they sent her to Yemen, and she became his 4th wife. But now they were able to track Awalaki, and they killed him with a drone. But although it's against the law for the American government to kill an American citizen, even if he's a member of a radical group, but they broke the law to kill him because he was an extremely dangerous guy. How did they kill him? It was because of his weakness for women. He already had 3, 4 wives, but he wanted a blonde, blue-eyed wife. Now, how did they get bin Laden? Bin Laden, you would think, you know, everyone was idealizing bin Laden. He's sleeping in a cave somewhere in the mountains in Afghanistan. He doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't, you know, it's impossible to track him. Right? That was not true. He was living in a city in Pakistan with 4 wives, 4 or 5 wives, and he was communicating with people. And eventually, the United States found out, because they were tracking his wives. They knew his wives were somewhere in Pakistan, but they didn't know exactly where. But then one of his wives went to see, I think, a gynecologist or something, or some doctor in the city where he was staying. So that they got that information. Now they knew where he was staying. So they, used all their surveillance. They have these airplanes with surveillance, highly sensitive surveillance equipment. They pinpointed where he was staying. And then they started listening to his communications, and they started studying. They had spies in that city. They were studying, and that place, and they took pictures and everything. And then they arranged for their Navy SEALs to go in, and they killed him. And then they took him away and threw his body into the Indian Ocean, somewhere nobody knows where it is. They said they gave him a proper Muslim burial. So, how did they catch Awalaki? How did they catch bin Laden? Because of their weakness for women. I mean, bin Laden should have been sleeping in some cave in Afghanistan, and they would have never found him. No cell phone, nothing. But no, he wanted the comfort. And they found his diary, and his diary is saying Islam is the best religion. Allah is so kind. It lets us marry at least 4 women. And he's glorifying the fact that you can have so many wives in Islam. So he's no different than Ravana, except he's like a mosquito next to Ravana. Ravana was a real demon. Okay, after Ravana entered the palace, the Rakshasis came near Sita and began to speak harsh words in anger. Janaki, through your stupidity, you do not realize the glory of being the wife of the great Ravana, born of the Pulastya line. Then a Rakshasi named Ekajata angrily said, you see, Pulastya was the 4th of the 6 Prajapatis, the mind-born sons of Brahma. Sage Vishwasrava is the mind-born son of the saint Pulastya, and mighty Ravana is born from that Vishwasrava. Be now the wife of Ravana. Why do you disbelieve my words? Now see, this is what happens in public schools. Kids go to public schools, and the miniature Rakshasis and Rakshasas talk like this. They talk all kinds of nonsense, dating and anyway, I don't want to say everything, but all the and kids are subjected to this peer pressure constantly in these schools, and then eventually they just give in to it because there's so much peer pressure. This is what Ravana was doing. He's using the public school technique by getting all the Rakshasis pumped up to convince Sita to become unfaithful to her husband. Then a Rakshasi called Harijata, rolling her cat-like brown eyes angrily, said, ask for the love of Ravana, who has conquered Indra by his might. Why hast thou no love for that mighty hero, skilled in battle? Emperor Ravana will attend on you, renouncing his dearest queen Mandodari. He will come to you by discarding his jeweled chamber full of beauties. Then another Rakshasi named Vikata said, look, he was by your side, who has repeatedly conquered the Nagas, Gandharvas, and the Danavas. Ah, fool, why don't you wish to be Ravana's wife? Then Durumukhi said, why do you not wish to be the wife of Ravana, the king of kings, in whose fear the sun withholds its heat, the wind does not venture to blow, and the trees shower flowers, and at whose desire even the clouds rain? Janaki, it is for your good that I am saying this. Listen to my words, or you shall die. So now we have exactly the same dialogue going on now. Today, people are saying, oh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with 2 mommies, 2 daddies. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with this type of sinful behavior and that type of sinful behavior. And now you can be any gender you want to be. You can be a boy today and a girl tomorrow. When you feel that you're a girl, you can use the girl's bathroom. And when you feel that you're a boy, you can use the boy's bathroom. So This is a major shift in American culture from the Judeo-Christian values to anything goes. Yatamat tatapat. Whatever you think is right, you know. So you're seeing right in front of your eyes exactly the same thing that Ravana and his Rakshasis were doing. They're convincing good people to become bad people. But they're doing it by shaming them, threatening them, cajoling them, bribing them, whatever way works. No holds barred. Then those terrible Rakshasas began to pester Sita, again with unpleasant words. O Sita, why dost thou not like to live in the beautiful palace of Ravana, abounding in costly beds? You are a human being, and consider it as something great to be the wife of a man. Do thou turn from Rama, or your desire will never be fulfilled. Rama has lost his kingdom. He is wretched and disappointed. So turn thy mind from Rama. Ravana is enjoying all the riches of the world. Do thou spend thy time happily with him, and enjoy yourself to your heart's desire. Then Janaki, with tearful eyes, replied, you have persuaded me to give myself up to another person. This sinful proposal will never find any place in my heart. How can a woman be the wife of a Rakshasa? Rather devour me. I shall never be able to accede to your request. My husband is Rama. Whether he be poor or devoid of kingdom, he is worshipful to me. I am ever attached to Rama as Subarchala to the sun. Like unto Sachi to Indra, Arundhati to Vasistha, Rohini to the moon, Lopamudra to Agastya, Sukanya to Chayavana, Savitri to Satyavan, Shrimati to Kapila, Damayanti to Nala. I am never devoted to Rama. So here she went through a list of extremely chaste Vedic women, glorified for their faithfulness to their husbands. So it depends which tradition you adhere to. You know, if you adhere to Madonna, Elizabeth Taylor, Marilyn Monroe, then you philander with anybody and everybody. But if you ascribe to the greatest women in the history of the world, such as Arundhati, Rohini, Lopamudra, Sukanya, Savitri, who saved her husband, brought him back from the dead. These are real women. Shrimati to Kapila, Damayanti to Nala. So which culture, which tradition are we going to follow? That's the question. Hearing these words of Janaki, all the Rakshasas were beside themselves in rage and covered her with cruel reproaches. See, first of all, they're trying to sweet talk her. Then, when she refuses, they get angry and start speaking nasty to her. All along, Hanuman sat speechless in the Sinsapa tree, and he heard all their words. Janaki was trembling with fear, and the Rakshasas surrounding her reproached her severely and began to lick their lips with their fiery tongues. I've seen that. I've seen people do that when they get all bent out of shape. Fetch the axe quickly. She is not worthy of the royal Ravana. These words were uttered repeatedly. So now they're trying to threaten her and scare her. Janaki then, wiping her eyes with the end of her cloth, sat at the foot of the Sinsapa tree. I mean, she could have killed Ravana. She could have killed those Rakshasas. But she wanted the glory to go to her husband. She wanted her husband to do it and be glorified. So you see here is a difference between Durga Mata and Sita Devi. Durga Mata will kill people and be glorified for it. And they glorify her. Navaratri is all about her killing Mahisasura and fighting evil. Janaki could easily, she's more powerful than Durga, she could easily have killed her, but she wanted all the glory to go to her husband. See? It's a very interesting difference. Not that Durga's not dedicated to her husband, but not in the same way as Sita Devi is. Yeah. Amongst them there was a grim-looking Rakshasi who said to Janaki, "You have shown sufficient proofs of your love for your husband. It is more than enough. Too much of it will be the cause of your miseries." Did you see? Yeah, too much chanting Hare Krishna won't be good for your sex life. You should stop immediately. This is the way the demons think. Yeah, just like once. Many years ago, over 50 years ago, over 43 years ago, in Paris, when we were just starting out in our first temple there, a lot of young kids came, especially young girls, and they were joining, and there was this one Jewish girl. Her mother would come to the temple, and she would basically scream and use foul language, and she said, "You don't understand what you're doing to my daughter." I said, what do you mean we don't understand? We know what we're doing to your daughter. We're turning her into a good girl. No, she can't live without sex. This is the mother talking about her teenage daughter. The girl was only 16 years old, right? It's just is that how crazy people are. Absolutely crazy. So she says, too much of it. Too much of what? Too much of love for Rama will be the cause of your miseries? I have been greatly pleased with you. May you be happy. You have done the duty of a human being. But now listen to my words. The Rakshasa chief Ravana is liberal, sweet-speeched, kind, and mighty. Give up your love for a puny man and be devoted to him. Yeah, Bernie Sanders is a wonderful man. Hillary Clinton is a wonderful woman. They'll give you Obamacare. They'll give you free abortions. They'll give you marijuana. They'll give you free condoms. They'll give you free syringes to shoot up heroin. Everything you want. Okay, you were nice. You were being moral and everything. Now's the time to live in the new socialist ethic. It's nonsense. Complete nonsense. Exactly the same as this. Put on excellent apparel and fine jewelry. Be the queen over all, like Sachi and Swaha. Well, Swaha is the wife of Agni. Yeah. What will you gain by getting the poor and weak Rama? But if you do not follow my words, I will devour you immediately. I'll kill you and eat you. Then Vikata, with hanging breast, raising her fist in anger, said, Janaki, it is out of compassion and courtesy that we have endured all your harsh words, but it will do you no good if you do not act up to our words. Thou hast been brought here on the other side of the sea, difficult of being approached by others. Thou art, O Maithili, within the abode of Ravana and imprisoned in the Ashoka forest and guarded by us all, even Indra. So Maithili, what does that mean?
Maithili is the daughter of the king of Maithila.
Maithila, okay, yeah.
So Maithili is also one of her names from King Janak, because he was the king of Videva.
Maithila is what, Bihar?
It's Janakpuri, the current Janakpuri is in Nepal.
Okay. O Maithili, within the abode of Ravana and imprisoned in the Ashoka forest and guarded by us all, even Indra cannot rescue you. Do thou therefore hear my well-meaning words. Why do you shed tears? Abandon your useless grief. Be happy and cheerful, renouncing your persistent melancholy. Do you enjoy yourself at your pleasure with Ravana? O my timid damsel, thou knowest how transient is the beauty of a woman. Again, they're taking her to be an ordinary woman. And so long thy youth does not wither, pass your time happily. This is exactly what is being taught today. Exactly the same thing.
How pressure, Prabhu? Because
Associate with good peer pressure.
in companies and all that, they always say, zero tolerance policy towards bullying and all that. And of course, bullying is not right, but then they say that if we are speak against, say, gay people, we are labeled as homophobes, and it's extremely bad. But our Shastras are very clear on this topic, and so we cannot really voice that, but still we can.
You're a homophobe, but they're homopsychotics. You see? That's the name. It's not gay. Don't use the word gay. You use the word homopsychotic. That's the correct description.
So how do we withstand this? So whenever people speak like this, I just remain neutral, because I'm obviously not for it, but I cannot speak against it, or else I'll be penalized in play in the workplace. And so I usually just neutral and say, and just go about my way.
Well, you see, they've muzzled everybody now by making it some type of a criminal thing, and it's part of the culture shift that's taking place in America. Well, here's the point. We're not for or against anything. We are, when it comes to personalizing it to a particular group or person, we are following the principles of Dharma. The principle of Dharma, lust is discouraged, whether it's between a man and a woman, or two men, or two women, or a man and an animal, whatever. Lust is discouraged. So we profess rather love. So love is not selfish. It is not based on exploitation. So if you have two men that love each other, but actually it's not love, it's lust, then we're against that. And if you have a man and women that say they love each other, but actually it's lust, we're against that also. Both of those things are reprehensible. So we're not against, my mother and my great auntie, they loved each other. They loved it, but they were not homosexuals or lesbians. They loved each other. They lived together, and they were always, affectionate. But and so that's two people can live together and love each other. Two women, two men, right? But when it turns to lust, whether it's between a man and a woman, or two men or two women, that is something reprehensible. You see? And I was in Vancouver at Rath Yatra, and I was in the booth, questions and answers. So a lesbian couple came up to me and said, "What do you think about homosexuality and lesbianism?" They thought they're going to get me off guard. I said, we have no problem with two women loving each other or two men loving each other, as long as it's love and not lust. "Oh, what do you mean by that?" I said, well, I'll give you an example. What if the person that you call your partner is only interested in using your body, but not interested in you? How would you feel? Well, I wouldn't like that so much. I said, see, you're making my point. Say, we're interested in love. It could be between a man and a woman, or two women, or two men, or a man and an animal, right? But it should be love, and not lust and exploitation. They said, "Is that your position?" I said, "Yes." That's not my position. That's the position of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. So they just walked away. See, they were expecting I was going to say, "Oh, it's sinful. You're going to hell." They thought, I was going to get into this. No, there's nothing wrong with two women loving each other, as long as it's love and not lust. So then they always come back with "Well, do you think sex is bad then?" And I said, "No, sex is good. It's for procreation." only procreation? Well, that's what Krishna says, Dharma viruddha bhutesu kamosmi bharatarasabha. But I said, you must have the continuation of sex. That's raising the children with love. Sex is not a one-time thing. It's a continuum. You have to understand it in that way. They say, well, we don't understand that. I said, okay, well, what can I do? I said, don't you understand that, you do something and there's a consequence, and to make that thing complete, you have to raise the child with love. And you can only raise the child with love if your relationship is one of love and not of lust. So they say, well, yeah, that makes sense, but what about, just a pleasure? I said, well, okay, if every time you have sex you have a child, that's fine, No, what do you mean? How can you do that, I said, well, then, don't you want to give meaning to what you do? So eventually they just give up in frustration and walk away, But, this is the point, that we're not against sex, but when it has a meaning, a spiritual meaning. Dharma viruddha bhutesu kamosmi bharatarasabha. Krishna says, I am sex life according to the principles of religion. Okay, so here we see 1.7 million years ago, the Rakshasis and Rakshasas were consistent with the ones today. They're doing exactly the same thing, saying the same words, using the same techniques. You see, there's nothing new under the sun. And see how amazing the Ramayana is. So then this Rakshasi says, now I am under this. Oh, okay, let's see. Then Chandradari, of hideous look, brandished a formidable lance and said that she would devour her by tearing her to pieces. That's Sita. Then Progasa said, why are we sitting idle? Let us strangle this cruel woman to death and then report the king about her death. He will thereupon surely ask us to devour her. Then Ajamukhi said, let us kill the woman and divide meat equally. I don't like to bandy useless words. Just fetch water and garlands. Then Surpanaka said, what Ajamukhi has said is right. This is also my own view. Fetch wine and balm of all sorrows. We shall dance before Queen Nikumbila after partaking of human flesh. Now the real persons are coming out. Then a nymph-like Sita began to weep, hearing these cruel words. That's, it's exactly what's happening today. I don't want to go into too much detail, but because it's too gross. But people are acting exactly like this. Exactly like this. You read the newspaper, they have ritual killing of kids. You have guys kidnapping little girls and torturing them and killing them. It's unbelievable what's happening. And you have satanic rites being performed. And in fact, it was in the news today that the satanic movement is growing in the United States. It's growing. Then Sita, being greatly frightened, choked with tears, said, you see, I am a woman. How can I be the wife of a Rakshasa? Rather, you eat me up. There will be no harm then, but I won't be able to accede or agree to your words. So, Sita is calling their bluff, because if they kill her like that, Ravana will kill them. Right? They know it. These are just empty threats,
Listen to these threats for 1 whole year. Every single second of every single.
Only because of her attachment to Rama was she able to withstand it. If that wasn't there, she would have, like all the other girls, she would have given in. This is psychological, what you call grooming, psychological grooming. They're preparing these girls to become the next victims of Ravana. And this is exactly that happens today. This psychological grooming of kids to become, lesbians or homosexuals or bisexual or something, whatever, but not loyal wives and loyal husbands. See? So let me just see how. Okay, we'll stop here and continue with all this gruesome stuff, juicy, gruesome stuff tomorrow.
Well, just imagine, it is the same Rakshasa that Hanuman wanted to kill, and Sita says no need. But they were just following the orders of Rama. But then the kindness of Mother Sita,
Yeah, you cut off the head of the snake, you kill the poison. You cut off the tail, you can still be killed by the snake. So you go for the head, the juggler. Right?
Yeah, this particular conversation was after Ravan was killed. So Sita just forgives all the Rakshasas that the tormented her.
Yeah, they were like brainwashed. They were like mesmerized by his money and opulence. It mesmerizes people.
Sita's kindness is too much.
Yeah.
Supremely kind. She's the only one fit to be Rama's woman.
See, they can't see. They want to bring her down.
Exactly.
This is why training, you have to it's training. It's really on that upper level of consciousness. No one different. When we don't train them, they're easily to come. People don't realize the value of protecting the kids. We can educate them what's going on in the field. Well, here, this is education right here. That's exactly what's happening today. You can translate that into the modern idiom. You look at rap music, exactly like that. It's conditioning kids, exactly the way the Rakshasas are trying to condition us. Instead of calling the girl, look at the little bitch. You can do rap music, you're regulating them. This is the way they look for Rakshasas. And people are listening to it. It's entertainment, listening to it. You can write a whole book on this. It's just that so and compare to what's going on. And all you have to do is just pull the newspapers. And it's the equivalent thing, exactly like that. You don't understand what's going on. There's a total culture shift going on in the world. But our kids are subjected to it unless we prepare them. See, that's pretty much how Ryan operates. All there. Everything that's going to happen is already in the and how can we punish? But see, they don't see. The people that are teaching me, the chant,